everyone, Albert here, and I hope everyone is having a tremendously great Wednesday. And I wanted to stop by over here and continue with Whiteboard Wednesday edition because I believe they are very powerful and there's a lot of tools there that can be used in the day-to-day interactions, especially in sales and business. So I want to continue with doing that. I wanted to congratulate you for taking the time. I wanted to thank you for investing a few moments to listen in and maybe find something really valuable for yourself that you can use already tomorrow or today in your business. Now, if you have any questions or comments, make sure to write it in a chat box and I'm going to refer to them later because I want to focus on what I'm going to be speaking about today. And I'm going to jump into this right now because I want to cover this in the shortest amount of time possible. I wanted to talk about 10 Metaprograms. It's a training that I have created that I offer normally, and I call it 10 Metaprograms to discover anyone decision-making and buying strategy. Basically what that means, there's 10 different categories in which we all fit in the way how we think. And then when we realize and discern and find out what the category is, we qualify for it, and then we can speak to that person in a way that is most compelling to them to take action. Because these metaprograms, what they are like shortcuts in our brain that determine everything from our beliefs, our behaviors, our actions, reactions, interactions, our way of thinking, and then how we process external world inside of our heads. And I know it's a little bit hodgepodge, it sounds convoluted. That's why I'm going to be talking about it next time. I wanted to give you a prelude. I wanted to give you something to serve as a segue into that program, because that is an advanced training, something that I teach on a high level, and in fact so much so that I have decided I'm going to do a 5-part series and teach 2 metaprograms each time, so you can actually get it in bite-sized chunks so it's not overwhelming. Because if I throw all 10 at once, you can feel that you're drinking water from a fire hose, and that can be a little bit overwhelming. Yeah. So to make it simple, to make it easy, I'm going to talk about something that is going to make perfect sense. It's going to be complementary to the training that will follow. I'm going to talk about VAK plus G plus O. And some of you are thinking, Albert, you made sense kind of up to this point, but right now you started to talk gibberish. I'm out. I can't follow this. Please stay here for a moment. Let me explain. I'm going to make a full circle over here. This is all going to make sense. Now, those of you that have been veterans in sales, saleswoman or salesman, you know exactly where I'm heading right now. If you have a background in psychology, neuro-linguistic programming, neuroassociative conditioning, you know what's going to follow, and it's going to be a great refresher if you know this. If you haven't heard this, stick around, buckle your seats. Time for left up. This is going to blow your hair back because this is tremendously powerful, what I'm going to discuss. And it's all about the senses and how we process our world. And what are the 5 senses that we have? We have the sight, visual. We have the hearing, auditory. We have kinesthetic, the sense of touch. We have gustatory, the sense of taste. And olfactory, which is the sense of smell. Now I'm going to use this one right now because the other one fell on the floor. VAK is actually what we focus first. That's why they're actually joined together, and these are added as submodalities. The reason being because we always, or I shouldn't say always, I don't want to speak in absolute, most of the time people are either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic first, and then they can be coupled with another sensory modality that can be complementary. And if this sounds a little bit complicated, give me a moment. It's going to make real sense really quickly. Now, if some person is visual, that doesn't mean that they don't use the other senses as well. They do, but they prefer to go with visual first. It's like saying with hands, you have both hands, you use them both, but you prefer right hand, if you're a right-handed man or woman, just to maybe write with your right hand. It doesn't mean you can't with left. It's just not comfortable, and you don't go there first. But if you need to, you can. For example, for me, it's not in all situations, but for me, I write with my right hand, but I shave with my left hand. I mean, it's been a while, but I've actually consciously started doing that because I wanted to use another hand. And I always will write with the right and always will shave with the left. And in certain situations, we will lean and start and prefer with one sensor or with the system of the feeling, all right? So if you're visual, like for example, I'm speaking right now in a visual mode, I'm going to speak really quickly. I speak quickly, I'm going to say, imagine this, picture this. Can you see what I'm saying? And now I'm using also words that are picturing, creating a picture, follow this, of visual aspects. If I say, picture this, imagine this, you see what I'm saying, now that means I'm a visual person. I speak a bit quicker because I can see all the word that I'm trying to just throw out on you quickly. And then when we are in a situation where you're trying to maybe negotiate a deal with me, you're trying to sell me something, or you're trying to help me see something, what is the best way to do it is to speak in my language and say, imagine and picture yourself in that beautiful car, slick lines. Can you see yourself coming in the neighborhood, and each and every neighbor will see you driving in with that, sexy car, the hottest car in the market. Imagine and see yourself how you are coming in the office and everyone will look at you driving this car. That is compelling to me. Now you're speaking my language, and basically what you're doing, you're bypassing my conscious mind and speak directly to my heart. And in fact, I'm going to enjoy the product, I'm going to enjoy that car that much further because I'm going to be focusing on that, and this is what I really do enjoy and like. And it's like going in France and speaking French. If you go there, speak English or Croatian or, Spanish or Russian, they may get offended and indignant, but if you start speaking French, you're like, you speaking my language. Now we can actually understand each other. It's the same way here. Now, how to do this is you ask and listen. Listen how they present, how they talk about things. That's why, especially in the beginning of any meeting, you want to listen twice as much than speak. 2 ears, 1 mouth. And then, if, for example, we're going to continue with a car buying situation. If someone is looking for a car, you ask them, what was the reason, or what was the most compelling reason, or why, what did you like the most about your car when you bought it last time? And if they say, oh, I like how it looked, it was gorgeous, it was beautiful, the slick lines and Pininfarina, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Now you know he's focusing on design. Now you know that he's visual in how things see. This is what is compelling to them. How others see him, how he sees himself, and he's using those words and cues. Does this make sense? Hopefully it does. So, next one is auditory. Auditory person will be a little bit slower, and they're going to talk slower, and it's going to have more resonance in their sounds, and they're going to say, I hear what you're saying. This sounds great to me. This clicks with me. And now they're in that auditory mode. They're a little bit slower, and they speak with words, keywords that actually suggest sound. To them, you're going to speak to them in a slower fashion, and you're going to use those same keywords that are going to be compelling to them to actually take action. And if you speak about the car, you're going to talk about the sound of the car, the sound of screeching tires, the sound of the exhaust of the engine, because that is probably what's going to be most compelling to them. And especially if when you ask them, what did you like about your past car that you had the most, and they say, I like how it sounds, well, then you're going to speak in that manner. Make sense? All right. Next is kinesthetic. Now this is the sense of touch, and these people sometimes drives us crazy, but these are very, very slow people, and they like to process things by their feeling. The sense and the feeling is good. Now when you speak to them, You're going to slow down. Now, this is not disrespectful. In fact, it's the most respectful thing that you can do for them is speak in the words that they understand and that I feel comfortable with, and speak in the language and vernacular that they resonate with. And you say, can you imagine the feeling sitting in that beautiful leather, touching that steering wheel, velvet leather on the steering wheel, you know, grabbing a stick in your hand. And that is going to be most compelling to that person. You follow what I'm saying so far? I hope you do, because this makes sense. And if you listen well and you're able to present it that manner, trust me, they will allow you and let you lead them, because that's going to be important to them. Now you have a gustatory, and that is kind of sub-modality, sub-sense, because not often, sometimes, but not often, people are taste-driven. Now, if you are selling truffles, if you are selling jam, something that is food-related, or you have to use taste, absolutely that's going to be probably first in those instances. Again, nothing is in a vacuum, but mostly people process the words in VAK, like VAK, then these are submodalities. But you're going to talk about scrumptious, beautiful taste of the situation, or the product or service even. It can be presented in that way. But the thing is, it will not have a certain matters of behavior or certain matters of speaking. It's just going to have those cues that will let you understand that they focus a lot on the taste. Same thing is going to be with olfactory, which is the sense of smell. By the way, I'm just going to digress for one moment. This is the strongest sense that we have. In psychology, this is the strongest sense for anchoring and actually conditioning, and that will show us or mentally guide us back in a specific moment in time the quickest. You know, if you remember a perfume of your first boyfriend or first girlfriend, when you smell that perfume, you're back there, you know, in your 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade, you're there with that person. You can instantly remember that person. Or if you've ever went to a zoo and you remember the smell of, you know, the poo or something like that, and when you feel it, you're back there in that instance. You have all the feelings that you had back then. It is tremendously powerful. Now, that said, I digressed a little bit. Olfactory in sales, again, and in terms of persuasion, will not have any cues in about how you speak with the pace and resonance of the voice, but it will, you know, smell well. If someone says, you know, what I like the most about the restaurant, or about the shop, or about the space, is like, I like how it smelled. It had an invigorating smell that, you know, just kept me motivated. Whatever. If they say certain things like that, you just throw it back to them and present it in this way. Now, I hope this all makes sense. I wanted to keep it as short as possible. And the best way to understand this is to listen and to ask the right questions. And in order for you to ask the right questions, you need to prepare. Adequately prepare for any meeting, any sales, business meeting that you have, or any meeting for that matter. When you prepare properly, you have most of it done. And then if you have certain few moving parts within the meeting, you can actually focus more on that. You can listen actively without being in your head, without thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? How am I going to respond to this? If you are prepared, you relax, your brain is processing every single word that that person is saying. You're pitching and catching, you're resonating with them consciously and subconsciously, and then you can adjust your presentation in a way that is going to speak to them. They will love you for it, and they will love the product or service that you offer, just because you were ready, you were prepared, and you spoke directly to their heart, and they will focus on the beauty of that product that you have offered, and they will love you for serving them in most compelling way possible. Hope this all makes sense. Let me know what you think about the training. Next time, we're going to talk about 2 first metaprograms. We're going to talk about how to recognize them, what they mean, and how to then position yourself properly and speak in a manner that is going to be most impactful for you and for your clients and your customers. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time. And as always, I'm going to say, see you out and about. Stay great.